Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron. Welcome back to my Winter 2020 box office predictions. And I know this video is coming out relatively early, but honestly, I just couldn't wait any longer to talk about the movie that you see on screen right now. And that movie, of course, is Sonic the Hedgehog 2020. I have waited so long for this movie to come out. I have followed this movie ever since it was announced back in 2014. Yeah, I've made multiple videos on this channel talking about the movie. I've talked about the casting, the original posters, the original design, the first trailer, the backlash, the redesign, the new trailer. I've been there for all of it. And now it's just about here. It's going to be coming out February 14th, Valentine's Day. And honestly, I'm just so excited about it. And it's not like the type of excitement that I had for, I don't know, Cats, where it's ironic excitement because I was just so excited to see how bad a movie was going to be. No, this is legitimate, positive excitement. This is the type of excitement where I'm just like, I'm rooting for you. I want you to be good. I'm willing to pay money to see you. And I haven't had that feeling in quite a long time. I think last time I had that feeling was with Joker. So it's good to have that feeling again, for a movie. But before we get to the pros and cons, I have to explain the whole history behind this movie because it's impossible for me not to. And because it's just so interesting. Like, this whole movie just had such an incredible redemption arc. It went from, many people calling it, oh, this is going to be the worst thing ever, to now where people are like, oh, wow, this movie looks so good. It's amazing. And I have to tell the whole story because it's crucial for this movie. So, yeah, let's get started on that. So, Sonic the Hedgehog, we all know who he is. He's a blue hedgehog who runs fast, eats chili dogs, and fights a mad scientist who's shaped like an egg. Yeah, that's Sonic in a nutshell. And the Sonic series, of course, is a long-running video game series made by Sega, started in 1991, with the first game released on the Sega Genesis back when Sega was in the home console market. Ever since then, in the near 30 years of Sonic's history, he's had his high points, his low points, his weird points, but he has miraculously remained relevant throughout those near 30 years. And also he's had, cartoon series. He's had what was it? There was Sonic Sat Am, there was Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, there was Sonic X, the anime. The Sonic Underground, I forgot about that one. And then of course Sonic Boom. But that really isn't canon to the Sonic series. Sonic Boom's weird. Although it is a funny show, I will admit. But for some reason, despite, all the games, the cartoons and whatnot, he's never had a movie until now. Like, Mario had his movie back in 1993, but because that movie was so terrible and it bombed so bad, I think it scared people from making a Sonic movie, considering Sonic was Mario's biggest rival at the time. So, yeah. So, throughout like the 90s and the early 2000s, no news of a Sonic movie, which is weird because that was like the peak of Sonic's popularity. Like, realistically, you should have made a movie back then, but they just didn't. It's weird. And it wasn't until 2014 when Sony, yeah, Sony, the people behind Spider-Man, Spider-Man, the Emoji Movie, Venom, yeah, those guys. They announced that they were going to make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and the reaction was just kind of whatever. Like, people weren't like jumping for joy, and they weren't, having meltdowns either. They were just like, whatever, like, okay. So a few years pass, not much progress happens. I mean, some people are hired, but it's nothing crucial. And it wasn't until 2017 when Sony basically gave up on the project. They just put it like in a turnaround. They were like, we're done with this. We don't want to do it no more. And so Paramount Pictures, they picked up the rights, and then they got to work on it. They kept everyone who was already, hired when Sony was working on the project, and the movie was scheduled to come out in November 2019. Then after that, things started to move along. We started to get some casting announcements, and then the movie was filming, so it was legit. And everything seemed to be going relatively smoothly. But then, December 2018, what a month that was. We got our first look. Well, not our first full look, but we got our first tease of this movie. And I got the original poster right here. Bam. This was our first look at Sonic. And everyone lost their minds. Everyone was like, what in the hell is this thing? It was wonderful. Because it doesn't take a genius to look at this and be like, something's not right here. I mean, look at this. His legs, his arms are so muscular. Like, the Sonic characters are always known for having noodle limbs, but for some reason they gave him thick limbs, and it's so weird. And Sonic doesn't have his gloves. He has these weird looking shoes. His head, his eyes are too small. His nose is too small. This just doesn't look like Sonic. And this is how the marketing campaign started. And I'm like, wow, you're not getting off to a great start, Sonic movie. And then after that, some more posters came out. There was this one, which was, it feels more like a test poster, and it had Chris Pratt in it. So you're assuming that Chris Pratt, they thought about putting him in the movie, but I guess he was busy, so they couldn't get him. And this other Sonic, it's not Sonic, but it was still better than whatever that first poster was. But then, oh boy, the masterpiece, the one I will remember forever, this gem. Sonic's legs. Just, this poster was memed on for a while because everyone tried to get in the same position as Sonic here, but it was just impossible because, it made no sense. And it was just so bad. I'm like, what? It's amazing that someone thought this was quality. Someone thought that this was good. So yeah, that was the first month of the Sonic movie. Then a couple months later, the design leaks. There's some promotional materials for toys and whatnot, and the design leaked, and everyone was like, oh my god, this is not looking good, this is looking terrible. And then it was April 30th, the exact day, the first trailer for this movie dropped, and the internet blew up in the worst way possible. Everyone roasted the trailer for multiple reasons. The main two reasons were because Sonic... Actually, let me look it up real quick. That way I can give you some context. Sonic the Hedgehog. 2019 design. This was the first design of Sonic. This. Look at that. Look at that face. This is what they thought was good. They put this out in the public. They thought, people will love this. But no, everyone despised it because, this doesn't look like Sonic at all. Look at his eyes. His eyes are so small. He looks so uncanny. He looks so human-like. It's disturbing. And of course, the teeth. We can't forget about the teeth. I wish I had a better picture. This. Yes. This picture right here will live in infamy forever. But the other main problem with the trailer was that, for for some strange reason, instead of playing something that was familiar to Sonic, they decided, you know what song we should use? Let's use Coolio's Gangster's Paradise, because that fits with the Sonic brand. I mean, I get it, like, Sonic was big in the 90s, Gangster's Paradise came out in the 90s, I get that connection, but Sonic is... Sonic is, like... It boggles the mind. Like, I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Like, it's crazy that someone at Paramount thought they should mix Sonic with Gangster's Paradise. Like, that's something you would expect, like, I don't know, a random YouTube video to do. Like, some weird, combination of things. But not an official studio. So, yeah, the backlash was quite extreme. There was like article after article, video after video, people trashing it. The like to dislike ratio was terrible. I mean, it still wasn't quite as bad as Ghostbusters 2016, but it was up there. So then a few days later, a tweet came out from the director, Jeff Fowler. I think I can pull it up. He made a tweet. And like this tweet shocked a lot of people because no one saw it coming. I need to find it. Where is it? Trying to find. I need to be more specific. Movie tweet. Where is it? Here it is. This is the tweet. It says, "Thank you for the support and the criticism. The message is loud and clear. You aren't happy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making this character the best he can be." So a few days after that trailer, Jeff Fowler went on Twitter and he said that Paramount was going to redesign the character. And this was quite unprecedented because most of the time when in a situation like this, like similar situations like, I don't know, Ninja Turtles 2014, Ghostbusters 2016, Emoji Movie, the studio just goes full steam ahead. They don't care what anybody says. They'll release the movie no matter what. But here they were willing to listen to the criticism. They were willing to listen to fans. And they're like, okay, it's clear you don't like this. So we're going to change it, and make it into something that you will probably like. So 6 months passed, not much happens. It's radio silent over there. And then November 2019, a new trailer pops up. And gotta look at it here. Sonic 2020. So yep, new trailer pops up. Everyone's kind of nervous. And then we get the new design. This right here. And everyone just again loses their minds, but instead of being in a negative way, it's in a positive way because everyone was praising this design left and right. Everyone was like, now this looks like Sonic. This looks like something that I am familiar with because instead of making him, human-esque, instead of, giving him like white furry hands, like what was up with that? Instead of having him have human teeth, small eyes, weird looking shoes, they're like, no. We're going to give him gloves. We're going to have him have big cartoonish eyes. We're going to make, his whole design look like the games. And I think they did an incredible job at it. And it's amazing how the conversation for the movie changed so drastically. Like it went from, again, people were like, this looks terrible, to people being like, wow, this looks so amazing. And like the second trailer as a whole was a huge improvement because it felt like with the first trailer, like they had the tone really confused. But the second trailer, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly, how to, what song to use. Instead of using Gangster's Paradise, they used Supersonic, which makes a lot more sense. And like the trailer just had like it's like, I don't know, the trailer just had like a new energy to it. It's like, if you compare like the first trailer to like the new trailer, it's like they're completely separate movies. Like, it was so weird. but also so just satisfying. And so yeah, here we are now. That's the whole story behind this movie. It's quite the redemption story. So now that you're all caught up with the history, we can now get to the pros and cons. So, pros. There's no competition for this movie. At least no direct competition. The last family movie to come out was Doolittle, and we all know what happened to that. So yeah, this movie won't have any real competition until Onward, and that doesn't come out till March. And I'm gonna be honest, Onward doesn't exactly look like a strong Pixar movie. But but I mean the movie's still a few weeks away. I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, doesn't look like a particularly strong entry. So I think Sonic could survive that. So yeah, again, no direct competition, and I highly doubt Birds of Prey is going to do anything to this movie because nobody saw Birds of Prey. And in fact, like I think it was yesterday, like some Birds of Prey super fans were just so triggered for some reason that they decided to try to slander this movie on Twitter. Like they were saying like, "Oh, this movie said like some we saw this movie and said like racist and homophobic stuff." So we went to Birds of Prey and said, "I'm like, "Oh my god. Why? It's so stupid." It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like those Birds of Prey super fans trying to slander this movie. That I'm hoping this movie does well in order to piss them off because that would make me happy. So that's the first pro is that there's no direct competition. Second pro is that it's a not only is it Valentine's Day, but it's President's Day weekend, so you got a double holiday, which is great. Because in the past, the President's Day weekend has been extremely lucrative in recent years. There's Deadpool, obviously, opened to like 132 million. Black Panther opened to over 200 million. And those two movies kind of like changed the game when it comes to February. Will Sonic reach those numbers? Of course not. Although it would be hilarious if it did. No. It won't reach those numbers, but February's still very lucrative. I mean, look at the box office for like the original Lego movie or like the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Both of those movies did great in February. So there's a decent chance this could do really well too, but I mean, obviously nothing's set in stone yet. But there's still a chance. Like history has proven that family movies can do well in February. So that's the second pro is that February and President's Day, Valentine's Day is a very lucrative holiday. Third pro is that I think the redesign obviously has done wonders for this movie because Paramount has been marketing the crap out of this movie. They have been pushing this movie hard. You see these billboards everywhere, posters everywhere. You see ads on YouTube. You see ads all the time on Twitter. Like they are pushing this movie hard, and they're not treating it as like this is just a dump movie. No, they are putting in effort. And I appreciate that because a lot I can imagine a whole lot of people know about this movie coming out thanks to the heavy marketing. And sometimes heavy marketing doesn't really work out. I mean, Birds of Prey had so many ads on YouTube, and that movie still tanked. So, I mean, sometimes you can market something so much and it could still flop, but it doesn't hurt to, market your movie super well. As long as you're doing it effectively, then you can market as much as you want. So yeah, third pro is definitely the marketing has been very strong for this movie. They're not they're not being cheap with that ad budget. And the fourth pro is that although there's no official reviews yet, there's an embargo right now. But from what I've heard, from what I've seen from early reviews on YouTube, they're all saying the same thing. They're all saying that this movie is shockingly good. Like it doesn't fall into the video game curse that many video game movies have fallen before this. And I think once the official reviews come out, if the official reviews are really good, then that'll be a boon to this movie. And especially like, the audience reactions, if they're also positive, like if both if the critics and audiences are like, this movie's good, then I think it will convince a lot of people to check it out for themselves and possibly have a good time. So yeah, so although there's no official reviews yet, early reactions I've heard are very positive. So that's good. Another pro a lot of people are probably going to point out is that the movie, you got Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman. He's easily the biggest name in this movie, and although he hasn't had a hit movie in a long time, many people still love him for his stuff in the '90s. Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Liar Liar. Like, all those were huge hits, and people are extremely nostalgic about those movies. So seeing Jim Carrey return to that really, crazy over the topness that made him famous, I think will really help this movie. And also just the nostalgia for this movie in general, because this movie is multi-generational, because you have like the fans who love the classic era of Sonic from the early '90s. You got the fans who love the late '90s, early 2000s with like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. There's the people who I wouldn't say love, but appreciate or at least laugh or enjoy the 2000s era games, as bad as some of them are. And then, of course, recently you got plenty of young people playing the newer games. Like, it's perfect. Like, this movie can appeal to everyone. It could appeal to that 4-quadrant audience. Like, the 4-quadrant audience, if you didn't know, is like male, female, and over under 25. And it's obvious this movie is going to appeal to over and under 25 audiences. So, yeah, again, that's a great thing. And what else? I think that's about it for the pros. Now, there's one con, I must say. Is that, again, video game movies have a very rocky history. I mean, before Detective Pikachu, literally every single video game movie was seen as terrible. And while the box office track record for video game movies is a little better, it's still not great. I mean, Mario, one of the most famous video game characters of all time, his movie tanked. Street Fighter tanked. And although, like, the first Mortal Kombat, the first Tomb Raider, the first Angry Birds, all those did great, the sequels for all three of those tanked, too. And of course, there's exceptions. The Resident Evil movies were consistently successful, despite the fact that they were more like fan fiction than real adaptations. And then there's also, big bombs like Warcraft and Assassin's Creed and whatnot. And yeah, the video game movie genre is known for failure. But it wasn't until Detective Pikachu that, things started to change. Because Detective Pikachu was seen as a good movie, got a lot of hype, and it did pretty darn well when it came out last year. And so could the same thing happen to Sonic? Maybe. I mean, granted, Detective Pikachu opened in the summer. This is opening winter, so it had more of an advantage. But still, I mean, no one expected Deadpool or Black Panther to make the money that they did. So anything can happen. And that's really about it. So now we got to get to the official predictions for opening weekend. Now, because it's a holiday, I'm going to have two separate predictions, a 3-day and a 4-day. So for the 3-day weekend, I think it has the possibility of opening above 40 million. Anything above 40. But if I'm being a bit more pessimistic, I'm going to say 35 to 40. But I think this movie could break out if it has if word of mouth is really good. So, yeah. 40 million for the 3-day, and for 4-day, I'm going to say 45. Well, at least the high 40s to low 50s for the 4-day weekend, which I think would be very strong for a video game movie because, again, video game movies, the bar isn't very high. So it wouldn't take much for Sonic to become one of the highest grossing movies of the genre. And overall, I think it'll make over 100 million because, again, no competition for the rest of the month. It'll probably make like 105, 110, unless maybe 130 if it really breaks out. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I'm done with the Sonic movie. Now I got to talk about less interesting movies. Less exciting stuff. Got to talk about Downhill, Fantasy Island, The Photograph. I highly doubt anyone's going to see Downhill. People might see the Fantasy Island. Photograph, I don't know. It'll probably do well on Valentine's Day and then just die afterwards. And then after that, the rest of the month is extremely quiet. You got the Brams, The Boy 2, like, why? And then Call of the Wild, which no one cares about. And then The Invisible Man, which looks interesting. And then Emma, I've never heard of that movie. And then that's it for February. So, yeah. That's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. You want to check out some of my past predictions? I have my Winter 2020 playlist on the homepage. I got my Holiday 2019 predictions playlist. I know I still got to do my January recap. That'll come relatively soon. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out.